We're holding hands, staring at the doors. My siblings and I were waiting for my mother to back from the hospital. She was there because my grandmother had cancer surgery that day. Finally, the doors opened and she said, "She's gone, she's gone." She started sobbing and immediately said, "We must make arrangements. Your grandmother's dying wish was to be buried back home in Korea." I was barely 12, 12 years old, and when the shock wore off, my mother's words were, were ring, ringing in my ears. My grandmother wanted to be buried back home. We had moved from Korea to Argentina 6 years prior without knowing any Spanish or how we were going to make a living. And upon arrival, we were immigrants who had lost everything, so we had to work really hard to rebuild our lives. So it hadn't occurred to me that after, but back home, we still in Korea. It made me ponder. It had me homework for me, and the answer was not obvious, and this really bothered me. So this is episode launch launched a lifelong quest from identity. I was born in Korea, the land of Kinki, raised in Argentina, where I ate so much steak that I am probably 80%, and I was educated in US, where I became to peanut butter. During my childhood, I felt very much Argentinian, but my looks betrayed me at times. I remember on the first day and middle, my Spanish, she scanned all my classmates. She said, you have to get a ruler, otherwise you won't pass this class." I was fluent in Spanish already, so it is felt as so I could be either Korean or Argentinian, but not both. It felt like a zero-sum game where I had to give up my old to be able to gain or earn a new one. So when I was 18, I decided to go to Korea, hoping that finally, finally I could find a, a place to home. But there people ask me, "What do you speak Korean with a Spanish accent? And you must be Japanese because of your big and your foreign body language." And so it turns out that I was too Korean to be Argentinian, but too Argentinian to be Korean. And this was a bit of a realization. I had failed to find the place in the world to call home. But how many Japanese looking Koreans who speak with a Spanish accent, or even more specific, Argentinian accent, do you think are out there? Perhaps this could be an advantage. It was easy for me to stand out, which couldn't hurt in a world that was rapidly changing, where skills could become obsolete overnight. So I stopped looking for that percent commonality with the people that I met. Instead, I realized that oftentimes I was the only overlap between groups of the people were usually in conflict. So, with this realization in mind, I decided to embrace all of different versions of myself, even allow myself to reinvent myself at times. So, for example, in high school, I have to confess I was mega nerd. I had no sense of fashion. Think you can get, and yeah, I think actually I only had friends because. But once at university, I was able to find a new identify for myself, and the nerd became a popular girl, but it was my auntie. Uh, so I didn't I didn't I don't know if I can. The odds are good, but the gods are odd. I switched major so many times that my advisor jokes that I should get a degree in random studies. I told this my kids, and then over the years I have gained a lot of different identities. I started as inventor, social innovator, then I became an investor, a woman in tech, a teacher, and most recently I became a mom, or as my toddler says repeatedly, mom, day and night. Even my accent was so confused that its origin, origin was so obscure that my friends called it Rebeccamise. But reinventing yourself can be very hard. You can face a lot of resistance at times. When I was nearly done with my PhD, I got beaten by in Iowa Silicon Valley, and I saw riding this is in basement didn't seem and starting my own company. So I went to my very traditional Korean who are here today with the task of letting that I was going to drop. You see, and I are the first generation to go is university. So a family of immigrants. this was, you can imagine how this conversation was going to go. But fortunately, I had a secret weapon with me, which was a chart that had the average income of all of the graduates from Stanford PhD programs, and then the average income of all a dropout from Stanford graduate program. I must tell you, the chart, this chart was by the founder of Google, but my mom looked at the chart and she said, "Oh, for you, follow your passion." Hi, mom. Now today, my identity quest is no longer to find my tribe. It's more about allowing myself to embrace all of the possible permutations of myself, and cultivating diversity within me, and not just around me. My boys now are 3 years and 5 months old today, and they were already born with three nationalities and four languages. I should mention now that my husband is actually from Denmark. Just in case I don't have enough, I decided to marry Danish guy. In fact, I think my kids will be the first who will have a hard hem growing a beard when they become older. Yeah, we'll have to work on that. But I really hope that they will find the, that their multiplicity is going to open and create a lot of doors from them, and that they can use this a way to find commonality in a world that's increasingly global today. I hope that instead of feeling that don't fit, and that their identity will become relevant sometimes, but they can feel free to experiment and to take control of their personal narrative and identity. I also hope to uh, uh, I also hope that they will use their unique of values and languages and cultures and skills to help create a world where identities are no longer used to alienate what but rather to bring together people, and importantly, I really hope that they find tremendous joy in going through this uncharted terror, because I know I have. Now, as for my grandmother, her last wish was also her last lesson to me. It turns out that it was never about going back to Korea and returning to that. It was about resting next to her son, who had died long before she moved to Argentina. What mattered to her was not the ocean that divided her past and new world. It was about finding common ground. Thank you.